You hear what has been said by the Auditor-General more so this morning, and your main takeaway.
Oh yeah, thank you, Duty, for the opportunity. So what is notable about this PFMA audit outcomes report, which was tabled by the Auditor-General before the Portfolio Committee today, is that for the first time, the Auditor-General was able to undertake audit work related to what she calls high-impact auditees. And these are state institutions that are involved in the bulk of the allocations that they receive from the National Treasury as part of looking at the fiscus. And these state institutions play a huge role in the provision of basic services in the area of health services, education services, water and sanitation, and also issues related to infrastructure in the form of construction of roads and other facilities. So in the report, the Auditor-General says these are state institutions that are still lagging far behind in terms of getting the clean audit. In addition to the good picture that she reported on to say in the last 4 years, you have these provinces that have now improved on their audit outcomes in terms of obtaining the clean audits. But she says, if we disaggregate this, we look at these high impact auditees, it means that a lot of work still needs to be done in terms of improving their situation, because she also reports that they are involved in infrastructure projects that to a large extent are delayed, and also they accumulate cost overruns, and this in the long run it affects on the quality of provision of education for learners that are of course entitled for that, and also residents who are entitled to have access to quality and also accessible water. So she says this is the area that needs to be focused on. But also she went further to also for the first time conduct audit work in the area of higher education and training sector, involving the 21 SETAs that we have, plus the TVETs and also the National Skills Development Fund. But she says, if you look at the 21 SETAs, there is this trend of double dipping by learners involved in learnerships that are offered by the different SETAs. And she says their audit work has discovered about 23,000 learners. Some are beneficiaries, but when they look for verification in terms of their IDs through Home Affairs, a large number of these are deceased. So this tells us that we still have leakages in the system that needs to be plugged. Also, we still have weak control systems within most of these SETAs that also needs to be attended to. But overall, I like the fact that she says the buck stops with accounting officers. These are accounting officers that are empowered by the PFMA to take the necessary steps in terms of enforcing consequence management, where there's contravention of the PFMA and where there are instances of fraud, corruption, and also theft. Because in the report, she does highlight that there are about 266 material irregularities with an estimated financial loss of 14 billion rands, up because in the last audit report, the number was around 12 billion rand. And this material irregularities speaks to these instances where theft, corruption, fraud is involved. And of course, we know that the Public Audit Amendment Act now empowers the Auditor-General to undertake remedial action where applicable, but also to refer these matters to law enforcement agencies, South African Police Service, the Hawks, National Prosecuting Authority. Of late, they are also now referring some of these matters to the Special Investigating Unit, which is the SIU. But my concern...
Dr. Koma, if you please allow me to join you there. As you speak of consequence management, you rightfully noted more so in infrastructure. For instance, over 80% of the infrastructure projects being of poor quality, delayed and exceeding budgets. While there's been a slight improvement, this is nothing new. While there's been a slight improvement when you speak of consequence management, this too is nothing new. And so what needs to happen, because even though the office has been afforded some room in terms of making sure there is consequent management somewhat, you also have an NPA that is undercapacitated. And so this cycle, are we likely to then see it repeat itself?
Oh yeah, so what needs to happen, especially in the area of infrastructure projects, is that there should be enforcement of consequences against contractors that fail to honor these contracts that they enter into with state institutions. And as you rightly put it, we have seen a low quality of work that is done by these contractors. But that is the domain of these accounting officers, because they sign as a service level agreements, they enter into contracts with these contractors or service providers. So that is the part we need to see. But also, we need to also see effectiveness of our accountability ecosystem, comprising of these oversight bodies at the legislative level, these internal audit units, the accounting officers also assuming a role in terms of ensuring that they hold officials accountable for any misuse of these funds and also failure to execute their mandate as per their job responsibilities and also their performance responsibilities in terms of their work. So this is what we also have to see going forward. But the point I also wanted to flag is that the concern is that 4 years on since the promulgation of the Public Audit Amendment Act, which empowers the Auditor-General to issue certificate of debts against accounting officers who fail to recover stolen public funds. It is concerning that even in this round of PFMA audit report, the Auditor-General has not issued a single certificate of debt against accounting officers, because this is informed by what she says, that there is 14 billion rand of estimated financial loss characterized as material irregularities. As I said, this relates to instances of theft, corruption, and also fraud. So going forward, let's see also the Auditor-General beginning to exercise her full powers vested to her in terms of the legislation.
Dr. Koma, thank you very much for your contribution this afternoon. Dr. Sam Koma is a local governance expert.